Word. Episode 3, DJs and Not Jukeboxes podcast. We are back. Yeah, Mr. Sen here, Mr. Beard Butter.
Artist, the hardest.
Hey.
Big Ones don't really have a cool nickname.
DJ True.
Yeah.
There you go.
We appreciate everybody supporting us, first off, man. Again, ideas just come into fruition and shit. And, success through creativity is what we're built on. And this is a perfect example of that. So something that we've touched on in both episodes prior, and something we're going to talk about in depth today, is the whole kind of digital world and how we kind of ventured into it as DJs and as artists. We all come from a vinyl background, myself included, and just it's a big deal. It has a lot to do, I think, now with the age of requesting and accessibility to music. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll start with how we all kind of got into vinyl. Y'all started off. I mean, my dad had a collection, so that was my first introductions to vinyl. I just saw it. If you want to hear how I got into DJing, check out the last episode. But once I understood what was going on, I was breaking needles and all of that. And when I started actually buying music that, I learned how to spin later and actually DJ, like it was a different world to me, trying to blend two pieces of music. You mentioned tempos. Like I didn't go anything past hip hop. Like that's what I knew. Like my homie, shout out to my homie Joey P. He was one of the like illest freestyler kids I knew in my neighborhood. He lived right around the corner from me, and he literally like birthed all of my singles in hip hop. Like I have a whole like collection of just singles, and that's all him. And he would come over and he would, I want to rap over this instrumental. And that's how I learned how to even blend, because I didn't want them to stop. I had him, my homie Mike was there, my homie Nevin was there, and like they were just really ill. And I'm like, I can't stop this beat, because I don't want them to look at me and I'm the cause of that shit. I'm the cause of the flow to stop. And, vinyl meant something, because, we would go digging. We go to Gramophone. I remember, no lie, like I still have it. I have like a white label DJ Premier instrumental series, and there were 8 of them, and I got like 6 of them. And when I was in there, I was looking through like the world section, and I found one. And then I was looking through the jazz section, I found another one. And I forget who was the homie's name that was working there. He was the guy that was handling all the hip hop distribution in there. He was at the desk, and he just kind of was watching what I was doing. And I was in there for about 2 hours, and I found 6 out of 8 of these just scattered. And I went up to the counter, and he laughed, and he's like, "You just ruined someone's day, man."
Oh, and they hit him around.
Yeah, someone had stashed them, because he knew, but like like they didn't make any kind of deals. He didn't ask them to hold it, so it's fair game at that point,
Yeah.
And I came up, and it was just like, holy shit! We came back to my house, and I had 6 records worth of DJ Premier instrumentals. We were bugging, because this is, again, we talked pre-Google, pre all of that. Like you couldn't just find that. Like it was on record. So
yeah, you had to hunt for it.
You
had to go out with purpose, and might come back with nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Half the time you're in there dusty fingered up, and you lucky if you get a good record. You know what I mean? After an hour and shit. And
Yeah. Was that PNS?
no, it wasn't PNS.
Oh, okay.
No, it was a shorter dude. He looked like he might have been of Asian descent, but I'm not sure. I can't remember who he was. He was kind of smaller build, shorter dude.
Doc Jones?
Might have been, actually.
Yeah.
It might have been
Wait,
him.
what store were you at?
Gramophone.
No, he's a Dusty.
No, I was at Gramophone.
Yeah,
But it wasn't PNS. I know for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I used to call Gramophone just to bother PNS. I was talking to a friend yesterday.
This was like 2000 era.
Yeah, this was like, well, my story's from Jay-Z Black album.
Oh.
And I remember I went to 606, and it was, I think Norm was playing it. It was, I forget the name of the song, but it's towards the end, and DJ Quick produced it. And I remember hearing it, and I didn't go up in the moment and like ask him what it was. But the next day I was harassing PNS on the phone. I was like, the song off Black album, and it kind of goes like this. But that was the Google at the time, like,
right?
Yeah,
calling your record store.
Yeah.
Yep. Right.
You got to know that melody.
Yeah,
hum it out. What about you guys?
Me personally, I got into vinyl through scratching. I mean, I knew about DJing and like I've seen it. You know, I mean, I'm younger than these guys. Just out of context, just for context, I'm a little bit younger than these fellas right here. But yeah, I mean, I knew, you know, at that up until I was in like 4th or 5th grade, I knew like you needed records to DJ, and that was like my only exposure to DJing was just like, you know, music videos or whatever. But you know, seeing like footage of like Shadow, Qbert, and like Mixmaster Mike, that got me into vinyl. I mean, specifically DJ Shadow, because like I was really into his music, still am. Like I knew he was super into digging, and I think that was like my first real exposure to that culture. And then, you know, when I first got my first DJ set, I begged my dad to go to Dusty Groove Records in like 2003, 2004, just to go out to Chicago because I lived in the south suburbs at the time. So at that point, I just bought all my favorite hip hop that I knew at the time, and a copy of Super Duck Breaks that was thankfully there still. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got my start in the vinyl. I started digging through that, and it's kind of funny though because right around the time I started getting the vinyl, that's when like, you know, Google was, you know, it was really popping off. Like it was really happening for DJs. Like people were like digging for MP3s on like either illegally or, you know, people were still buying CDs, what have you. But yeah, I was Googling for vinyl at that time. So that was kind of like my first foray. It's kind of opposite to you guys for sure. But yeah, I was definitely Googling for vinyl at that time. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine is kind of similar. Like I got into DJing through like scratching and stuff like that. But yeah, like when I first started, like when I was kind of first starting to put together my first setup, which was like 2, you know, like home, you know, turntables, like, and then like a crappy like Radio Shack mixer. I would go to whatever record stores, you know, at this point I was like 16, 17, and just trying to find like any kind of like hip hop related things that I could. Like I lived out in like the north suburbs. But I actually first learned how to like start cutting on like my parents' record collection. And I got lucky because my parents actually were both like heads. Like my mom was super into like the Rolling Stones and a bunch of Motown stuff. That's like all she listened to. And then my dad was also really into like Motown, and like I specifically remember like the Superfly album was like his favorite record of all time. So I lucked out because my parents had really good taste in music. So of course I was like stealing their records when I was pretty young and learning how to like at least cut. And then I also had a cousin who I've mentioned before who was 8 years older than me that moved to New York after college. So like once or twice a year I would go to New York to go visit him and bring like, you know, I would save up like $200 or $300 and go to a bunch of record shops in New York. And I remember the first time I ever went to Fat Beats, I spent like $300 there, and I was, you know, like a 17-year-old kid from the suburbs of Chicago. Awesome. And I was like, I would go to New York and spend a bunch of money on records and bring them home. And then once I got a little older, and I would, you know, come down to Chicago record stores. But yeah, it's pretty cool. My first like actual record buying experiences were like in Brooklyn.
That's dope.
Which is dope. Yeah. I remember the first time I walked into Fat Beats and I saw DJ Eclipse behind the counter, and I was like 17 years old or 16. I was like, okay, like this is like real for me now, you know? Yeah. Like this is like some real shit. Like I'm actually like a part of this culture. And it was kind of a big moment, and since then I've just never stopped.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when I was also 17, I actually also went to New York, and I spent probably like $200 at Turntable Lab.
Oh yeah.
So it's just funny, like all my favorite, like all the hip hop and all the instrumentals I couldn't find in Chicago happened to be there. So
me too.
It was dope.
Yeah, Beat Street too. That was another big one. Fat Beats and Beat Street.
Fat Beats, yeah.
But also, I was also like you. I was around that time, you know, again because I was like I would get classic rap stuff that I knew that I wanted, but I would also look. My stuff was always, I want to find records that I can flip, like for routines and like scratch records and stuff, versus like being a party DJ. So it was a little bit of like getting all the classic stuff that I really liked and came up on, but also like some, you know, dirt style scratch records, or, you know, like Super Duck or whatever.
That's dope.
So,
Foundation records.
Yeah, seriously.
I think I had a Dr. Octagon record as like my first scratch record.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did my first setup was like 6 pieces of vinyl that I was able to afford, all gramophone, couple Momen records in there. Shout out to Momen family.
Yeah.
And the Dr. Octagon scratch record. And like you mentioned, you know, like parents having good taste. Like that was
I know your parents had good taste.
That's all me, man. Like, you know, shout out, my father was, you know, jazz and blues and rock and you know, like he played music and, you know, he's a musician, and, you know, my mother was disco queen and she loved it. So like I was around all sorts of shit growing up, you know what I mean? And then, you know, all my homies, you know, that were excuse me, from this neighborhood, you know, like all the Spanish music that I was listening to growing up. It was just, I had a lot of influence growing up. So like, you know, when I found hip hop, I was like, yo, this is a, you know, like a culmination of like, you know, shit that my dad had in his stash, and, you know, like that dusty sound, but it's like something I understand differently.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was ours. Like, you know what I mean? It was our music. And like, you know, that for me was a big deal, you know what I mean? And like, you know, I have that collection now. Like that's in my studio, you know what I mean? Yeah. And, you know, that's a big, you know, again, like, you know, we talked about breaking needles. Like, I did it with a Led Zeppelin record that was one of my first pieces of vinyl I bought as a child. Like, my dad took me, I think it was, no lie, it was like a jazz record store downtown by like Wacker or something like that. It's still there, like a real famous.
Oh yeah, the Jazz Record Mart.
Yeah, there you go.
That's closed.
Like,
Yeah,
they closed.
They sometime last year.
Yeah. So like I mean, we went there. We went to like some restaurant around there. And my dad was like, "Hey, let's check this place out." And like, I ended up buying his vinyl there, and like, I scratched it, and you know what I mean. Like, I didn't understand as a little one, but you know, like, influence later. You know, it's crazy what the vinyl meant, you know what I mean? And like having 6 pieces of vinyl for, you know, almost a year, because I spent all my loot on some shitty Newmark turntables and
as you should,
crappy mixer as your first setup. Yeah, you have to. That's part of it, man. Like, you know, needles were skipping, and you had to have a super light hand. And you know, I was the opposite. You know, you talk about routines and turntablism. Like, I naturally got into the party side of it because, again, my homies are rhyming, blending, like, okay, cool, keeping the flow going, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, you DJ, you want to DJ my party? I'm like, well, I don't really have shit.
I don't have enough records.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I
and then
that a lot too,
so like, you know, then we started going shopping for like, you know, the ultimate
ultimate breaks and beats.
Yeah, you know, and the shit that was coming out monthly with all the, you know, radio hits and club hits, and, you know, I still got crates from like 01 to 03 of like just shit, you know what I mean? And it's just like, and it's dope because, you know, that's something that we want to talk about is, you know, moving into the Serato phase after that, you know, like that
before we do, what about you, True?
You're right. Yeah, my fault, Mr.
What was the question again?
You are the like vinyl connoisseur.
What got you into vinyl?
Yeah, like how did you essentially?
Oh, well, my first piece of vinyl was House of Pain, Jump Around, single.
Good one. Did that have the Pete Rock
remix?
Yeah. Such a great remix.
Yeah, this was before I moved out here, but I really didn't start collecting until I moved out to Chicago. So this was almost 20 years ago. But getting into DJing, it was just a necessity. You had to buy records, so I only knew what I knew. I only knew, you know, golden era hip hop up to that point. So when I first started DJing out here, it was like scavenging all the dollar bins for any genre of music that I could recognize, like Rod Stewart, Do You Think I'm Sexy? Yeah. Why did I buy it? Because I knew it, and it was like 50 cents. But I just started, you know, I had the bedroom set up, pretty much cashed in my 401k when I moved here to finance the move, but then spent it all on the rig and the growing, you know, the collection of records. That's kind of where it all began, and then it's snowballed uncontrollably since then. Even still, now that, you know, I still have, you know, 70,000 MP3s, but I'm still buying vinyl constantly.
Right. I mean, you're always digging. Like you when you travel, you go travel to dig. Sometimes.
Yeah, it's usually
why you're going. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're
becomes why I'm going.
You're heavy in the culture still. I mean, we all still buy vinyl at some capacity. You know what I mean? But so I mean, so let's kind of transition then from, you know, that, and how did you get into going from this vinyl junkie into like, oh shit, there's Serato now. Like, what is this?
Oh well,
you know, like,
I mean, it's as easy as wanting to save my back, really. Like my first residencies here were night-long residencies. It just wasn't an hour-long set.
Yeah.
It was
4 or 5 hours talking.
Saturday nights, 5 hours of sub T, take the whole rig, my cart of records over to the Note, and then shut that down, and wasn't out of there till 5 a.m. So that's however many hours that is.
It's a lot of wax.
I was
bro.
much younger back then.
Yeah, right. But that's a lot of wax. Like
shitload of wax.
You think about it, and you're probably not doubling up at all in the night either. Like, as a DJ, you're not gonna. It
didn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So you're bringing out 5 hours worth of records,
right?
least.
And then
there
was
somewhere else.
Yeah, and then at Sub T we had at least 3 crates that just stayed there, and those were the staples. And
you're right.
And we all, my buddy Nate, DJ Verb, and I, we kind of shared those during that time.
Dope.
But then we brought out our own
stuff on top of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was it. As soon as Serato came, I had between Serato and vinyl, I made the transition to CDJs to just supplement the vinyl sets, so I didn't have to buy all the hot rap singles. I could just burn them.
Gotcha.
And then kind of save that way. But yeah, as soon as Serato came around, it was like, what? I just have to bring a backpack out? Let's do that.
Yeah, right.
it was easy.
Introduction to Serato. How did you even come across it? Just through the gigs? Just saw somebody?
Yeah, well, at the time I was on the Soul Strut discussion forums. I don't know if you guys were on that, but that was the Big Jiggers forums in the late 90s, early 2000s. And all the guys were in the same place. They were diggers, they were collectors, they were DJs. And as soon as the talk of being able to get away from that came around, everybody just started to migrate. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. What about you?
Yeah, I was a little bit late actually to the Serato game because at that point I wasn't playing out a ton, and I definitely wasn't playing all night gigs. My stuff at that point was, I was still heavy into doing hip hop shows and recording for albums, doing mixes and stuff like that. But I wasn't really playing out in for club nights that much. So to me, it wasn't necessarily a necessity because I wasn't playing all night when I would play out. My stuff was all guest sets or shows or whatever, so it was shorter sets. But I remember seeing other people, some people had Torque or Final Scratch or whatever. Or even the first multiple incarnations of Serato were really buggy. And people's computers would crash multiple times a night. And I was always well, first of all, I didn't even have a computer at that point. And I remember being not sold on Serato at all. And it wasn't until I think it was early 2008 that we went and saw Mixmaster Mike play at Joe's on Weed Street. And he was on Serato, and he was able to do all his crazy Mixmaster Mike shit, and it wasn't crashing, and it wasn't that was another thing is if you would do baby scratches on the very early systems, it was you would hear it digitally. There was crazy lag. It just sounded terrible. And again, for me, it was well, I don't necessarily need to get this now, and I'm really not sold on it. When I saw Mixmaster Mike doing his classic routines now on Serato, then I was okay, if it's good enough for Mixmaster Mike, it's definitely good enough for me. So,
it's funny you say that because the first time I ever saw Mixmaster Mike live, I snuck into a Lala after party at the Hard Rock Hotel, and he was also using Serato, Scratch Live. And I also was kind of hesitant about buying Serato. Not only did he kill it with Serato, but he also had a mixer, it looked like a soundboard, basically. It wasn't a proper S mixer at all.
Oh no!
And he was still killing it, which was crazy. These they weren't the fader knobs; they were just the studio mixing knobs, basically. The ones you'd put the palm of your fingers.
Yeah.
And he was still killing it on that. I was like, the fuck.
Yeah.
But then that's what also sold me. Really sold me on it. I mean, I've seen my first exposure was kind of around, I think, a couple of years into DJing for me at that point, 2005. I started seeing more and more videos surface of people using Serato. There's a really good there's a video from 2005 of A-Track showcasing it at NAMM, and that's kind of what got me interested in it. But yeah, I didn't really get sold on it till I saw Mixmaster Mike kill it.
Yeah.
And then a year later, I bought it. I got it on my birthday. on top of paying like half for my dad because it was like $500 or $600.
Yeah,
it was not.
And then
It
if
was
you
not.
didn't have a laptop, that was another thing. Like you had to have a laptop.
Yeah, I didn't.
Like it was a big deal, man.
Yeah, I didn't finally like take the plunge until like 2008. I was really late into the game. Like March of 2008, I remember was when I first got. On the same day. I went to the Mac store and bought a laptop. Went to Guitar Center and bought Serato.
Nice.
That's
a good day.
It was a good day. Very expensive day. But I also got lucky because my homie DJ Sleeper, who I knew coming up through battles, he went to Indiana University and he used to do like DMCs and stuff here in like 05, 06, and I met him through that. And he ended up moving to LA. And he was one of the first people I knew that were on Serato. And he used to use those big external hard drives, like the 100 gig one at that point, because back then computers only had like
the one we actually had to plug it in.
Had its own power source.
So I remember he flew here after he moved to LA. This is again probably 2007, and he had his he was telling me how dope it is, how dope Serato is, but he's like, I still have to bring at least a crate of records with me every time I go to the club because everybody's shit crashes. But Sleeper, I will always be forever indebted to you because he was like, all right, he was staying at my house for this gig, and he was like, all right, we're gonna go to Best Buy right now. You're gonna spend $150, get yourself the same hard drive that I have, and I'm gonna give you my entire hard drive. So when I got Serato, the day I had Serato, I had a music library.
Wow.
And of course, it was missing. It was a ton of shit. But also, the big thing was like I have the entire library from Power 106 in LA when they started going digital. So this is like almost every classic. Well, it was like classic funk stuff all the way up until this was like 2007, and it was like clean, dirty instrumental acapella if they had it. So I had a stupid MP3 collection already, and a lot of it was like, of course, like not very good bit rate or whatever. But I haven't, unless you got into CDs, which I never did. Most people that would get Serato, they would have to start from zero and start burning all their shit in. And like because of my brother's Sleeper, I had to, I could immediately play out that day if I wanted to with Serato.
You say you entered late in the game, but honestly, that's still really early in like Serato years, if you really think about it. That was like only like a couple years in. That's like
it was a few years in, But I remember
3 years in the technological world is like a baby year, basically.
Yeah. But I remember too, that was when I started playing out a lot more, doing like more club sets or whatever. And for a while there, maybe for a solid year, I was the only person that was still playing vinyl.
Right.
Just because a lot of people had moved to whether it was Final Scratch or Scratch Live or Torque. But man, everybody you would have to bring, that was like the thing. You bring your laptop, you bring your fucking external drive that you have to plug in, and you bring at least a crate of records because your shit is going to crash at least once during your set.
Man.
And so that's why, again, I wasn't necessarily sold on the whole thing. I'm like, this is a great idea, but and then I'll never forget now when I saw Mixmaster Mike, it was like, all right, like I'll never be able to do anything that he's ever going to do, and if it's good enough for him, like,
it works.
I remember I jumped in around 2008 as well, and I saw the 8-track video. My homie Focus put me onto that, and I didn't get it. I just saw 2 records, and I didn't see him changing them out. And I just heard all these different tracks, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? I don't like understand the concept behind this. And I was a CDJ head at the time by that point, because I was playing a lot of like house music events at that point. So like I was on Track Source heavy and all of that, doing the digital digging at that point, burning CDs, and just a lot of time spent on that shit, because everywhere I went was a CDJ at that point. Every club I was at was a CDJ, and the techs were somewhere underneath at that point, which sucked. And I made the jump into Serato, and it was kind of crazy. And I kind of have a similar story with yours, where I was kind of given a setup. I had a lot of CDs already. I started burning them, but I met my homie JJ, and he was in that circle with Boy Wonder and J-Funk and all those dudes. So that's Kiss 103.5 and all that.
Right.
So I ended up, amidst shit, getting some stuff, and it was just like, I started doing gigs with them, and it's like, yo, if you're going to be doing work, like, you need to get this Serato set up. And shout out to the ex-girlfriend from that time. As a Christmas gift, she bought me Serato.
Nice.
And she's like, yeah, you can use my laptop. And I was just like, oh, word. Okay, let's fucking do this. So I spent like 2 days trying to figure it out. Like I had like, I didn't know what was going on. It was so foreign to me.
And
like,
then they broke up a week later.
Yeah. No. We actually stayed together for like another Christmas and a half. So it was cool, you know what I'm saying? I'm not an asshole. I got what I wanted.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah,
babe.
later.
But no, like we, you know, like I one of my first gigs, I'll never forget it. Like I was all set, ready to go, and now I'm the only one with the laptop at this point.
Right.
Like I'm walking into that world, like I got my backpack, and everyone's got their book of CDs or jump drives or whatever, and here I go with my wires and trying to figure it out. And here's the funny thing: so like to anybody that out there that's listening, like 2 things. One, I only knew absolute mode at the time versus relative, so like you're not even about that, but I was plugging into CDJs and I was learning Serato on turntables at home. So I didn't know the fucking line and phono switch on the box. God.
So everything was distorted like crazy? Or
had no idea what the fuck was going on in that gig, so I couldn't play.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. I didn't bring, I wasn't able to come home, so I didn't have a book of CDs as a backup.
Sure.
I ended up grabbing some shit from my homies and playing some of their stuff, but I was like tagging with them. But like, this was like someone's birthday, everybody's there, like I'm closing.
And you're trying to like hook up this.
I'm that guy. I'm this fucking, oh, here comes Mr. fucking fancy with a laptop, what's he doing type shit.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. Yeah, like this is fucking terrible. Like already, like my first gig out, I'll never forget that shit. Wow. Yeah, with Serato. Like my first one was Serato. So I was terrified at that point. I'm like, yo, I don't think I could do this. And sure enough, like I went home that night, it was bugging me. I couldn't go to sleep, and I read the manual and I saw the little switch. I was like, "You fucking bastard!"
Right.
And that was it. That changed it for me though, because like I said, like again, my homie JJ, he was doing an internet radio show at the time, and that's how I got into radio. Shout out to CRB Radio, and he saw me playing. He's like, "You gotta use this, man." They showed me cue points, and I was just like, what?" Like loops, I'm like, oh my God, it changed my whole fucking it changed my whole.
You didn't have to wait for your break anymore,
bro. I didn't have to bring it to the top and none of that. Like it was just like he's like, yo, you could have the needle anywhere you want. I'm like, oh my God, bro. So that definitely changed it. So I mean, I had like 20% of my library, and then I had this bulk that just hit me like, yo, here, you need this, you just got Serato, here. Just like, oh shit, yeah. So it was an interesting transition, you know what I mean? Because then I'm still on CDJs at that point. Because everywhere I go, people are on CDJs, all the clubs I'm doing.
Not far back.
I was working with Ginseng Crew at the time, so it was like, what was it, Red Dog or whatever it was called.
So it was more house stuff.
House club, super clubby shit, like all that. So everywhere I was going was like house music, and then it was the radio show that really honed me into being on turntables with Serato, because I was doing it out of the house, and I was doing it off my own setup.
Right.
So I was able to like, oh shit, okay. It kind of works the same in both worlds, understanding cueing on a CDJ. But that's when I was like, oh, dude, like, I can do this on turntables. I'm good. Like, I'm so good. I'm going to, anywhere I go, I'm, like, asking for vinyl. Take them out from under the shelves. Like, you know, because at that point, vinyl was obsolete, essentially, because everything was a CDJ. And, like, Serato was just brand new in that, in the club world, like an owner's world. You know what I mean? They're not going to go out and buy boxes like they do now and shit. So...
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned like your horror story with like Serato, because it feels like
terrifying
for like in the years that like Serato has been around, or just anything DVS, every other gig there's always like maybe it's like decreased to like every other 5 gigs now, but like it used to be every other gig there would be at least one DJ that would have some sort of Serato issue, like.
It still happens.
Yeah, it still happens. Like all it happens less potentially, but But yeah, like in that time, like every other gig, there was a dropout, or someone's like computer would just crash entirely.
Yeah.
And then here's the thing too, like you could like like the digital shit, like you could see who actually came from a DJ world and who just kind of like started to get into it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even about the library that they had. It was just like their overall knowledge of like a setup. You know what I mean? Like they were coming in there and like you could tell guys like I would do gigs where like homies were setting up your box with you as you're getting in there, because they're like, yo, I understand the pain of swapping out in one song. So like you guys are in it together versus like the people that just show up and they're just like, Yeah, like you know, they're
Yeah.
if something doesn't go wrong, they look at you and ask you, and you're just like, I don't know, man. So you're like, that's your setup. You got it. That's your laptop or whatever
you
it is.
better know. I mean,
Something's happening on your side. You know what I mean? I'm playing right now, so my shit's cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. And it was
Yeah, I will say that for Serato, like it made me better as like just a sound technician.
Yeah.
To like understand what all that, you
Oh
know,
my
like
God. Yeah.
way more than before Serato, because it was those high pressure moments, and if you're like fumbling back there,
Yeah, you got to make it work.
And it's like, and then like at the time too, like all the, you know, nothing was accessible behind the mixer. Cause you
Oh,
know,
God,
like, so
yeah.
everything was covered. So it was just like, it was a whole
It
different
never
world,
is.
man.
Yeah.
It was a whole different world. Now, I mean, it's so plug and play with it. It's easy for you kids.
I don't know. I still use SL1, so
I was just about
Do
to
you
say.
guys still use SL1?
I still
my
have-
original Serato box.
Okay, that was-
still got it.
I still have
Me too.
my original Serato box, but I'm on SDJ and I use Tractor as well. So
I still use
I'm on
yep.
both.
I still use I have my SL1 box that I bought in 2008, and I still keep it in my DJ bag at all times.
Back up.
And whenever I go to a spot, that's what I play on.
That's awesome.
Because I'm still not on Serato DJ. You know, if I go there and they're on a Rain, you know, 62 or whatever, which
Pioneers
is super
or
rare. Yeah, but the Pioneers, like, I can't do the club kit or whatever. I'm still hooking up a box.
Yep.
And it's still the one that I bought in March of 2010.
Tight.
That's
It
dope.
still works perfectly. I mean, there's no, you know.
I'm sure mine works.
So I'm still that dude back there fucking hooking shit up. But at this point, it's like I can do it in 3 seconds.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got a Denon box that I carry
Oh,
with
that's
me
right.
if I
I have a
don't
Denon
plug
box
and
too
play.
now.
If I don't plug into the Pioneer, and like I said, I mean, like it's gotten to a point now where it's like, you know, for like recording at home or whatever it is, I use Tractor. Little routines.
Oh, right,
If I'm
yeah.
doing a show, you know, hip hop shows or something, it's Tractor because I don't, you know, like you. Once you get into it, again, like us being nerds with it, like you know who was doing the research on it, the latency
Yeah.
issues, you know,
Right,
like
right.
so you could see the difference between a Serato and a Tractor at that point. But Serato's so common, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like everywhere you go, it's just there. So.
What do you guys think about the criticisms that like all vinyl DJs, they always talk shit about Serato? It's like if every time they see a dropout, they're always like, that never happens on vinyl. Kind of does though.
It does. You
Yeah,
can
well,
get
yeah, bro. Like,
Yeah, low key. It does though.
yeah, it's
whoa.
just-
Issues. But like just in general, like what do you think about like people who
purists.
criticize DVS in general, especially in 2017?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think a lot. I don't
It's
know.
like
I
a
think,
pure standpoint,
yeah.
and I don't know. I respect purists, but at the same time, like if you're a DJ, you should be growing with the times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I-
have to. I mean, you have to.
I think it's just like, you know, it's like anything in life. Some people are just I don't want to use scared. I don't want to call them scared, but it's just like you get intimidated by change. And like you're saying, to just grow with the times. Like
Yep.
there's nothing wrong with being a vinyl purist. Like absolutely. Like we all came from that, but don't knock the kids that are,
Well,
you know,
shit. I mean, if it's like vinyl purists, like be thankful you're not Q-burring your favorite record too. You know, and like
right.
back when I was doing the Sub T residency, early 2000s, like the first half of the night, I was playing like rare groove and soul, and then getting into, you know, disco house, new stuff.
Yeah.
And as soon as I didn't have to bring out my rare jazz records, it was great.
I remember seeing you so long ago, and we had that conversation. Because you were playing a bunch of super rare, like, you know, funk joints, and you're like, "This is my favorite part of Serato. Like, I have one copy of this. You know, it's probably very expensive, and I can play it out without ruining it.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah, especially like the 45s.
the
man.
45.
Yeah,
shit,
45s.
Yeah.
Those Q burns so easy. So yeah, it's like I'm a vinyl purist in the sense I want to preserve my vinyl and still play songs that I have on vinyl.
Right.
But I mean, come on, MP3s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
And
a
that's
no-brainer.
that's a dope point though, because that was like that was a bigger way for us to flex as DJs, is like with our libraries, because then you can take the shit that you know nobody has. It's not out there as an MP3. You could rip it for yourself and then go play it out, and so you're gonna get someone that's gonna be like, yo, what? And that was the way like real DJs would use Serato. Like I always looked at it as like, you know, Serato was either your crutch and made a bad DJ worse because they used it for simplicity and they didn't use the technology to beef up what you can actually do, and it made, you know, good DJs better because it took your creativity and pushed it.
Oh,
you know,
man,
I mean,
yeah.
something as simple as taking a loop where you don't have to rock a sticker on their DMC style and hear that every time
Right,
it's hitting
right.
that loop. That was to have a seamless loop and then cut over it and then throw something else right on top of it and load over. Like, yo, it was like, what?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's what was dope about it. So that's where I say, like, shout out to all the people that don't like it and don't appreciate it. But at the same time, there's reasons to appreciate it.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
said, you know, preserving vinyl, you know, just, you know, increasing the creative process, all of that.
Well, you can also have every record ever made if you have a big enough hard drive.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's, you know.
Sometimes you might need 2 outlets at the time, you know what I mean? The 3 terabyte shoebox hard drives and shit, carrying like a boombox.
Or you just bring your whole
shit.
desktop.
I'm saying, there's, you guys have seen that meme, right? Like there's like an older dude that's doing like a school dance, and he's like in a gymnasium, and he's got like a desktop out using Serato. Yeah.
Oh wow, interesting.
Old like 90s box speakers and shit. It's so good. It's so good. But he was in it, like he was hella in it, like, you know what I'm saying, like all the way.
Well, that, just a quick aside, like that even applies to producers, I think. Pat Grumley and I, Cole Grums, we did Blue and Exile's first show here in Chicago back in, God, it was like 10 years ago by now. But we had Circle Black Keys open, which was Radius, Kenny Keys, and fuck, he's gonna be so pissed that I forgot the third one.
We'll throw that back in there.
But Tall Black Guy. This is before the Tall Black Guy, you know.
Right.
It was Tall Black Guy. That's the guy I forgot. Damn. No, he's the homie.
Shout out to Tall Black Guy.
Yeah, he's this is before he was the Tall Black Guy we all know now. He was like, you know, world renowned.
Yeah.
But I remember he came to set up and sound check, and he had the whole crew, and it was like when we would have guys carry crates for us, he had his crew carrying his
desktop,
his whole studio setup on stage.
Oh my god!
Yo, I've definitely played a show with Tall Black Guy where he brought his whole his Dell desktop to the gig. It's awesome. I mean, that's commitment. You got what you got. You make do. That kind of like falls into my opinion of it. Like, I mean, regardless of what you bring to the set, as long as you bring it, that's all it's key. Like, as long as you're, kill it however you want, with whatever you want. And
I mean, real shit. I mean, the man.
You ever seen that guy, the Russian DJ? This was like DMC's in like late 80s or something.
The Reel to Reel?
And he's
there's a dude from the UK, I guess, that's coming to, well, not here, he's coming to the America in like a week or two, and he's playing at Sound in LA, and he uses Reel to Reels.
Yeah, that's
What about the guy that uses cassette tapes? Yeah. I mean, he cuts nastier than half of the scratchers out there. And it's just like, you're using your fucking thumb, G.
Yeah.
Inside of a little ass cassette reel. That's ill shit. Yeah. And you said it, man. Like, I thank Scratch for all the way for, bringing me into that world, because it really made me understand, like, it's not the clothes that, the people wear, it's the people that wear the clothes. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I got people that are coming in there right out the gate. I don't care about turntables. I want to be on a CDJ. But they're going through the cut motions. They're learning everything. And it's just like, cool. If that's what you want to do, you know what you want to do at that point. If you rock on 2 iPods, like, if you know how to rock a party, you fucking rock it. You're a party rocker. You could be a dope selector. You don't have to be all that other shit. But definitely, man. Like,
I mean, nowadays there's so many options, to do.
You almost have to know it all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm grateful to have Tractor in my life and know both. You know what I mean? Because it's cool to have the distinction between, and it's like,
Tractor to me is still like, it's like everything's in Japanese. Like, I have no idea.
You know what it is? It's the layout of it. Because Serato is hella friendly as far as like being user friendly.
Yeah, Tractor's always been kind of intimidating to me.
Tractor's so customizable. That's why.
That's right. I know.
It's like 100% customizable, and
they made it look more like a DAW.
Straight up. It's program, mad technical, and then Serato's just all like, it's pretty.
Dude, you know how many times I had to call
digital audio workstation?
Like when I was in Scratch and we would have a student come in on Tractor, like how many times I had to like call Boy Genius. I don't even know how to turn this thing on.
I'm saying, dude, Boy J's the one that helped me, man. Shout out to Boy J. We're gonna have him on the show soon too, talk about some stuff. But when I made that move, it was, I had to sell my mixer at the time. I didn't have a mixer. Shout out to my homie Rufus. He dropped off a Z2. He's like, yo, hold it down. He had bought, the new S9 that came out. And I hit up Jay and I'm like, hey, bro. I sent him a picture. I'm like, I'm in. And he's like, cool. Came by like 2 days later. He's like, this is how you set up, blah, blah, blah. Showed me a couple of tricks. he's like, how do you use Serato? And I showed him, and he's like, cool, this is how you tracked it with it.
No, it's like
so he showed me my workflow.
Dude, I remember
on Tractor, and I was just like, yo, you're the fucking man. So
I remember when they first put out that Craze video with Tractor.
Oh.
And I was like,
was it him and Clever or just Craze?
The first one I think was just Craze.
Yeah.
And then also like me around that time, me and Trent had a couple conversations with them, and I was really close to switching, but at that point I was so deep that I didn't want to like, because for me, I would have to take like months off DJing because I would want to learn every single thing. But I mean, Tractor's so dope to me because it's more of a performance tool. I mean, now both of them are very similar, but I mean, when all those features Tractor came out with that Serato didn't have, that Craze was using on that first video, was like, yo, like I'm more of like a performance style DJ. Absolutely. This is exactly what the fuck I need. But for me, like the
but you still killed it, man. I'm telling you, like I will never ever, and I stand by this shit. My CRB show, you came by, you had that little Pioneer Effects box.
Oh yeah,
with the jog wheel on it.
Plastic.
I'd never seen anybody use Serato like that. I was like, Jesus Christ, I hate this dude. Like, it was still the illest set that I had on that show to date.
Wow,
that's why you were part of my closing shit at Empire.
Right. When
you and Pete did that back-to-back set for like an hour and a half, man. That was like the illest. Shout out to Pete. Shout out to Sean Dervis, Rude One, like for making that happen. Ricky Dubs was there. Like, it was an awesome night.
That was, man.
That was super. That was some DJ shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had like a 30-minute cut session. There were shit.
And people were into it.
Trentino. There was a bunch of people that were just showing up, like just jumping on and shit.
Yeah,
like,
it was fun,
dope, man. It was a super dope night, man. All right, so I think that was a great segue. We're talking about digital world and how it helped us as DJs and artists. But again, our big point to the podcast is to show that we understand both sides. So we're going to touch on the consumer side now, and how that's changed and their approach and just how they come out. How the idea that, let's say, when you had a vinyl setup, asking somebody, hey, do you have this song? And that was like almost a request versus like, hey, can you play this? I had people come up to me like, hey, do you by any chance have ... Like, yeah, I got it. What I mean? Yeah. Now it's like, yo, like, what do you mean you can't play it? Like, you have a laptop, dog. Right. Like, if I have it on my phone, like, what do you mean you can't play it? So, like, that accessibility.
I think back then, like, patrons realized that there was a limit to what was going to be heard or played in a given night, because they realized, you only have 2 crates of records.
Yep.
The chances you're going to have this hot remix of Frozen or whatever.
Oh my God!
You're not gonna have it. So it was more like a question versus a demand. And I think now that music has become more accessible to everybody, that realization that it's limited is out the window, because everyone experiences unlimited music now, and that's how they want to experience it.
Well, I mean, shit. I mean, we could take it a step deeper, and I mean, everybody experiences unlimited life at this point. Like, everything is at the snap of a finger. This. We live in a society now where everything's been, for lack of better terms, dumbed down and become very streamlined, where it's just like, the easier you could get to that goal, the better. It doesn't matter if you're losing quality in the midst of it.
Right.
Let's just get there fast and efficiently, quote unquote. Right. So it's like, with that, we were talking about, generational gaps and, us being like the older guys that play and having to deal with the younger patrons that come out. Us understanding that whole disconnect in these kids, they didn't have to go out and buy CDs and save up for the shit. Like, as long as their parents had a laptop or a computer in the house, they were downloading music for themselves. They came into a world of MP3s and just, wow, here it is. Like, you want it, boom, there it is. And it's like, the value isn't there anymore. So, again, they don't value what we do in essence, because they look at it like, well, I mean, if I have it, why can't you have it? So if my playlist is hot, I'm a dope DJ at that point, because I got all the hot shit that everybody wants to hear. So I could go to this party too and plug in and I'm gonna kill it right now, And then there's things like aux cord DJs now, and there's all kinds of stuff, and that's cool. I'll be the one to say it. Like, this is send again. Like, I'll endorse this comment again, but like, I think that shit is super whack. And like, if you're gonna have a playlist party, cool. Like, that's one thing. You know what I mean? But like, to me, it's like, don't call yourself a DJ at that point. Like, you're not a disc jockey.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's kind of what those parties are like, or they're more like playlists.
Yeah,
parties.
and that's cool. Like, I'm all for that. But, like, just because you got a dope playlist doesn't mean you can outplay any of us in what we do. Like, we've...
Oh, so you take issue with the DJ part of that?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, but I'm saying as a person, as a patron. That's what I mean. Like, not necessarily the DJ. That's a whole different topic. But the patron comes up and it's like, yo, I know what's hot. And it's like, well, you don't know what everybody needs here. And that's very selfish of you to say, like, this right here is what everybody needs.
Yeah,
you know
we're supposed to tell them.
Yeah, essentially, right. Like, I'm supposed to be the selfish one in this. Let me have my moment, dog. Like, we talked about it being therapeutic, you know? Like, let me have my therapy right now. Let me go through life right now. Like, let's all go through life together, you know what I'm saying? So, like, how is that accessibility? Like, I mean, how have we transitioned with it? You know, I mean, I know I get it now. Like, I understand that side of it. I think I've calmed down in that sense. Like, I'm not as, like, right away at people. Like, I don't bark right away, you know? Like, I used to bark quick. You know, and then we got into this as a company. I'm like, hey, you got to chill, bro. You got like a thing now, like that defines you, you know? And it's just like, and now people come up to me and they expect me to bark. And I'm like, well, I kind of see it different. So I have, you know, it's like devil's advocate almost in a sense. But I do truly understand both sides. Like,
yeah, I mean, you can understand it, but not really have to tolerate or accept it.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
mean I agree with the shit.
I mean, anytime someone walks up with their phone now, they immediately get it ignored because I know where it's going. And
that's the new age quarter. You know, I think I said it on the last episode, but it's like, yo, like, just, you know, like, the courage you got to muster, like, all of that to get into that moment of like, yo, let me tell you what you got to do right now with yourself, and let me tell you what's going to be best for this entire room. Yo, we were talking, there's algorithms, right? And you know, the idea, like what we do, like, we're not machines. There's stuff going out there right now where they're creating algorithms for venues, where the venues are interested in getting this algorithm built where it's essentially you don't need a DJ.
Yo, it just like programs the vibe.
Right, you want to do a hip hop night. You can have this whole plethora of hip-hop, and then people, you know, they log into that Wi-Fi there, and they can kind of control the music for the night. So, like...
I mean, that's kind of a cool idea.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
it's a cool idea, but then, like, what happens, like, you know, when you're in there and then you get mad because the algorithm didn't pick up your song? Now who do you go bitch at? Who are you going to yell at? Now you're going to be mad that there's no DJ there. And you're going to need us.
You're going to bitch at the IT
management
guy.
Yeah, you're going to go.
IT guy, like,
who's your data guy?
The IT guy.
Call Dave.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the key. I'm with Sen there. You know, I mean, it is a cool idea on, like, paper, but, like, you know, we had in a moment with Chris Carnes, and he said it best, like, you know, there always needs to be a human element to everything. And sadly, the part of that human element is requesters to some degree. So I think that, you know, is never gonna. That's gonna be with DJs till they die. Honestly, that's part of the territory, and it's just a matter of how you deal with it and how cool are the requesters. Like, there's a cool limit to it.
I have to believe though that bars that would be interested in that wouldn't necessarily be booking DJs normally. You know what I mean? It would just be like a thing for them to do.
Yeah, it would be like an added, you know, thing. But I mean, too, like,
it's like bars that have jukeboxes. Like, they're not going to pay DJs.
Yeah, but
DJs are not jukeboxes.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah,
but then too, I mean, think about this. Like, as a business owner, if it's easier for you to make a one-time payment versus worrying about a DJ,
well, right, that too. That's
you're going to just go there. So that's what I'm saying. That's
or like you have to manage the booking.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You just set your algorithm for the month, and it's like, oh, hip hop night Thursday, you know, pop night Friday, whatever it is, and it's like
press one frame.
I think you said it last episode. You place your order for a drink, place your order for a song, and it's just like that. Like, okay, so like the algorithm side of it, like if the algorithm breaks, you still need a human to go fix it, right?
Yep,
so that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, I mean,
as of right now,
right. As of right now, I mean, before AI kicks in and shit, you know, at a real level. But I mean, still, like, you know, we're lucky enough to where I don't think I'll see anything full on AI by the time I die as far as DJing goes. You know, like, maybe, I don't know. We don't know.
I think it's coming soon.
Yeah. I mean, technology's crazy in that sense, and it moves super fast. But like, I'm still confident in the fact that like there are people out there that do want that human element, and there are, you know, I mean, there's spots, you know, in Chicago that, you know, that are where the owners and the managers and the booking people are very keen on that. Like, even though you're fighting fully against the grain as a business person in that sense. Like, they still want it. They are just like, I'm about substance and this is what my business stands for. So that identity thing, like, you know, like it becomes more than music, you know, like we identify with each other as people at that point, because, you know, the places that I work at allow me to do that as an artist. So it's like, it's started with how I play and what I play and how I do it, to where you saw it and you understand it, and now we identify as humans, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's easy for me to almost, it's like a poker read in like how people approach me when I'm a DJ.
Yep.
It's super easy to tell what kind of person you are, unfortunately. And that sucks for me, because I try to like, I'm that guy that like tries to give everybody an A right out the gate, and you gotta get the F yourself.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, I give people way too much credit out the gate, but like, as soon as you come up to me, I could tell, like, and it's not even like you had a bad day. I could just tell what kind of character you are. Like, you're pouty, or, you know, you're just hella aggro, or like, you know, it's just, I could tell. And it's cool, because then I peep like who's in the room at that point. Like, if I got some homies that are a little aggressive, I could, you know, give a heads up. I know what not to play. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, that's what I mean. Like, that, even that, like, that's, you know, how do you stop that in an algorithm? You know, because because there's it's not the, hey, don't play hip hop or don't do this, but there's like some records you just know are gonna like get homies from the neighborhood just super like charged and want to fight somebody. So you just don't play that one record as a DJ. You can play the hood shit, but there's always that one that's just like, it'll take it too far. Like, it'll just get motherfuckers throwing shit up in the air.
I mean,
Annie up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Annie up and for the hip hop, or for the backpack kids. Yeah,
when you want everyone to fight, play it.
That's kind of like that's the big thing about the human element, though. You create those moments because you created those moments. I saw the coolest shit recently. I was at a Red Bull Sounds Like show for IBA, and it was really dope. And Donnie D was the DJ, and he's really dope. He was killing it the whole night. But like at the end of the night, he literally got on the mic, went on stage, is like, "Yo, what do you guys want to hear?" He literally gave the
Are you serious?
And one person said James Brown, the other person said Cardi B. Yeah. So what he did, hilarious. He was playing a couple James Brown's track, and he went from like, I think it was like, "I got that feeling," and then he went into fucking Bodak Yellow with that track. I'm like,
Donnie D is a fucking king, man.
He killed it. So yeah, you create those moments. You really, you know, that's something I look for, you know, in DJing, is just like moments that you like, that the DJ or whoever's DJing like made. Like,
so like, I think you mentioned Shadow earlier. Didn't he do something a long time ago where like he had people bring in vinyl?
Yeah.
And he was just playing
it was
vinyl.
A record release party. Yeah.
Like, that's such a dope concept of like, all right, well, let me flip this shit on you. Like, you know, like,
let's see, I'm
gonna take it a step ahead and just bring me whatever you got, but it's got to be a record. Like, you better bring me a vinyl. And like, he was doing a whole set based around that shit.
This is like 97.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, but this is a long time ago, but still, like, that shit is super dope, because that gave him that almost like that rite of passage to the consumer to say, when you come see me, this is what to expect, some obscure shit. Because any sets past that are just always like, yo, I just went digging for 4 hours, I'm gonna do this set off of all this random shit I found.
That's dope, because then people they have to be way more conscious of what they're bringing. Like, I only can bring one record.
Yeah,
the best record I can.
And if he's gonna use it and kill it, that was my record that he used. Value. There's that value. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that connection with the artist, with the artist that created that record. Like, it's just like, it becomes that big full circle moment. And it's like, in our age, that's almost like, we talked about it last episode, where it's like, when you get the request where you're already loading up to play that song. Definitely. And you're like, oh, that's the illest shit, because that happens, like, that's the white whale.
That's,
you know what I'm saying? That's the super white
that request.
And that person's cool because they had a good request.
So like majority of the time, people like request because not only that they want to hear it, but there's like that music. It's like music that resonates with them. Like, you guys think that like music, you know, still defines people? Like, what, even as DJs, does music define you? Like, certain music define you?
As a DJ, for sure. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. I mean, we all have our own libraries, you know what I mean? And everybody, you know, if all of us played a set back to back to back, you know, we might have songs that are similar, but we have so much other shit that makes us us that, you know, like, there's no question about that. I think with the consumer, yes and no. It's not as much. I mean, and even DJs nowadays, because, like, you know, it's as easy as, all right, cool, like let's go get Serato. You know, I got this folder from so and so. You know what I mean? And back then when we got a folder, that was a big ass thing, like because those weren't available like that. You know, somebody already went through the time of having this whole MP3 collection and they laced us. This now is like, you know, it's almost like the new age that doesn't respect the time to get that library is almost like the consumer as well in that respect. They treat it the same. So the consumer, they could grab it as long as I got a phone. I could listen to whatever I want.
Right. I mean, just because you don't have to. I mean,
you don't have to leave.
You don't have to buy anything.
You don't have to buy a thing. No. You just grab your phone and it's there.
Yeah.
So
I'd argue that playlists, like the playlist mentality, does define people in the sense that like our tape or CD collections did back in the
true.
day.
I'll give you that for sure.
That's true. Yeah.
Playlists, because I've had numerous people just hit me up like, "Hey, are you on Spotify? I'd love to see your playlist."
Yo, straight up.
Yeah, just because they want my musical vibe, they want to experience that, but in playlist form. So I think people identify with the playlist that they build.
Yeah, that's like the new new thing. Like I'm not even on that playlist shit, but I can see why people. I mean, there's a lot of artists and DJs that are on Spotify specifically because of that. Just because like you want to hear what's
someone's playing in their sets or what they're listening to.
Yeah, what they're listening to.
I almost wish Spotify came out like 10 years ago because I was like, I love crafting like playlists on like my MP3 player, and I used to think that shit like defined me. I was all high and mighty about like my turntablism playlist and then my hip hop takes on everyone else. But like, it's because I feel like to some degree, I mean, people are like into your playlists and shit, but I feel like that it's slowly becoming more superfluous, like almost unnecessary to people. Like I think, I don't know, like a lot of people are into like a lot of different music, you know, especially with the internet being the way it is these days. But yeah,
and the algorithms help with that. You know what I mean? Like I know I've used Spotify and all kinds of radio sections to find other artists without a doubt. You know what I mean? That's the digital dig for me. You know what I mean? At that point.
Well, the algorithm can like curate the vibe.
Yes.
But it's never going to, well, I don't want to say never. It's probably going to happen, but being able to like read the room.
To finesse
or to know when to drop that track. And like, depending on what city you're in and what that hot track is.
Yeah, there's so many variables.
Like playing Hey in Chicago, like everybody gets hyped off that.
Hell
like, everybody.
Absolutely.
But is AI going to know when to drop that?
Pretty soon, with like Face ID being a thing, you're going to walk into a bar, like there's going to be a sensor that scans you. It's like, oh yeah, you look like you like, Bodak Yellow. You look like you like, Common Sense, this, that, and the third, whatever.
Common Sense.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And fucking, but it's I once again, I still wish Spotify came out like 10 years ago because the closest thing I got to like looking at other people's playlists was a little website called Last.fm.
Hey.
Where you had to scrobbling music just to show you. Basically, what it was, it just showed people what you're listening to at that moment.
For sure.
Which was a cool concept, but it's just silly as fuck now. Like, looking back on it now.
For us too, like our playlists are our crates.
Yeah.
Essentially, you know what I mean? Like, I have a gig now where I get to call it Sen's House. Shout out Easy Bar, where they let me just play music. Like half the shit I play is not dance floor friendly. It's just some obscure, cool shit, and it's almost like taking the playlist night, but like DJing it. You know what I mean? So it's like bringing the best of both worlds, like the new generation and the old generation, and saying, cool, like my playlist is hot too, but like I'll actually DJ it for you and perform it for you, versus it just playing top to bottom. You know what I mean?
I'm with that.
Yeah, no, and I definitely think that like, the digital age, there are people that, still look for it. You know what I mean? Because there's people that hit me up, like, yo, you should flip this for your next video. Like, one of the latest ones I dropped was because my homie hit me up. He's like, yo, Sahai, the Prince just put this album out today. You should flip this joint. And I was just like,
Kanye produced the whole thing, right?
Yeah, and I was just like, yo, this shit is dope.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's like, and I took the Iman, is it Ini Kamosi out in the streets called Murder.
Oh yeah.
What was it? Music World, some shit.
Music something.
World of Music. There you go.
There you go.
And that's the original joint, and like he flipped the shit out of it, so I was able to use it for routine. And that's just, again, someone that holds value in music, hits me up and is like, yo, this would be dope for what you do.
Right.
Because they see what I do. And I'm just like, yeah, that's fucking awesome. You just created something for me based off of the fact that you put me on something.
That's right.
And that's what I mean. That there are people out there still that do that. So, but, you know, the other conversation of that too, like how music is pumped to the consumer, like, you know, commercially. So music can define everybody, but like how we talked about Bodak Yellow, that defines everybody right now. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's where someone could say, well, yeah, of course, like, I know that that's going to hit. That's what you should play right now. So like, as for us, like, you're right, but just not yet. Like, let me set it up. Let me serve it. You know, let me serve that to you the way it should be served in that moment. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like the digital world has definitely changed how we move around and you know, as consumers too. I mean, we're still consumers of the shit. You know what I mean? Like I buy music, I support it. You know what I mean? You produce, a lot of us produce, like, you know, whatever it is, and like it's giving back still. It's that constant cycle of it. And, you know, when I find people that appreciate music, shit, I'm like, yo, there's hope, you know? It gives the other 95% of the scenarios, like, it's cool. It, like, almost numbs it out and, like, balances it. You know, so it makes it easier. I don't have to bark right away. Because I'm like, someone out there's going to listen to this shit and be like, oh, shit, you played Wax Taylor. You know, at a fucking club night. You know? And you're like, how the fuck did you play Wax Taylor just now? Because that happens. Someone will come up and be like, yo!
I love sneaking shit in.
Yes!
Out of context, basically.
I mean, you have to.
And not being scared to either. That's a big
Well,
part.
that's what a DJ used to be, man, was fucking...
Breaking records. Yeah, we talked about that too, and that's a big part of it. Like,
Jesse De La Pena always says that. Like,
shout out to Jesse.
He'll always say, like, don't be afraid to clear the dance
because I know how to bring him back. Greatest quote ever. Greatest quote ever. He said it, in like an interview with the newspaper, and it was like, yeah, he said, I'm never afraid to clear a dance floor because I know how to bring him back. And I was like, dude, this is the greatest quote about DJing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, that's like, even, you know, I'm talking to, you know, Pumpin' Pete about his early days of like playing hip hop when house was.
Oh, you used to get shit.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like, I mean, but even that, like, just how, like, you just know.
And
what
then
it's going to be.
Eventually started.
Right. But you were one of those first people.
He was the fucking rebel, man.
Yeah. You know,
him and Jesse. That's
what I'm saying. Yeah. That's rebel and that's real shit. And that's where, like, for me to have those dudes know who I am and are like, yeah, you're like little bro, basically. And not big bro me, but actually like respect me as big bro. That's a big deal. You know what I mean? For like, you know, and I take pride in that shit.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not going to just be out here fooling and just talking shit and just whatever. I'm gonna let what I do define me at the end of the day.
Sorry.
Nah, you good.
That's all good. Yeah, shout out to Pumpin' Pete, man.
Shout out Jesse De La Pena.
Shout out to Jesse De La Pena.
Pete.
Purveyors of like the Chicago hip hop scene. Dude, definitely.
Straight up, man.
Jesse was the first DJ I saw when I moved here.
Oh, really?
He was DJing at Red Dog.
So everything you've seen since then has pretty much gone down since that.
Oh, Red Dog?
Since seeing Jesse, if Jesse's your intro to Chicago DJs, like everything else you've seen probably has not been that.
Oh yeah,
as good as him.
Well, no, and he still kills it.
His library is just
ridiculous. Him and Dirty did the closing set.
Shout out to
the
Dirty.
Sunday DJ 10 at North Coast.
Oh,
fucking slayed, and even Rude before him, man. Like Rude played
Rude One, shout out to Rude
Security
One.
of the First World off Public Enemy. And I remember coming out from backstage, I was like, who the fuck is playing this right now? And it's just packed. People are jamming to it. I'm like, he's the only one that could do that.
Yeah,
you know?
no, that.
But Jesse and Dirty killed it too, and you know, in typical Jesse fashion, he's all over the board, genre-wise, era-wise, seamless, and just murdering it. But I remember
that's a dominantly younger crowd.
Oh yeah, North Coast. It was all younger fest kids.
Yeah,
and they, you know, I'm sure they only knew maybe a couple songs he played.
But it was
the way
right, the way he played it. It was perfect, and they
were there for that. Like they're just like, yo, there's a DJ here killing it. I'm 16 or 17. I can't get into clubs. This is what it's like. I'm at a festival. We're going in. And like to be in it and to have the DJ that knows what to do in that scenario, and it's just both worlds come together so beautifully. Yeah. I'm so mad I had a fever that day. I had to go home. I didn't get to fucking hang out that whole night. I was passing out in the fucking tent. Like,
you missed it.
I know, man. But I was there, man. Shout out to North Coast people for that. That was an amazing day.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We want to
cap it. Is there any housekeeping things you want to mention, like the hoodie?
We do have the DJs Are Not Jukebox's official hoodie, you know, high quality embroidered pre-sales going on. Shipping starts December.
First week of December.
Yeah, which probably you'll be hearing this already at that point. So DJsAreNotJukeboxes.com, hit up the merch section, the store section, go get that hoodie in your life. Yeah, represent us. Y'all been asking for it, so we did it.
Yeah, the custom 45 adapters will be coming out in December too.
Yeah, the wood grain. You know what I'm saying? Yo, we appreciate everybody, as always, for tuning in. Another one in the books. We'll be back. Have a happy holiday. It's getting cold, but we keep it warm.